So guys, welcome back to the channel for something a little bit different and something that I've not done previously on the channel, which is rating your Wonder Kids. I put a message out on Discord for you guys to send me the best Wonder Kids in your saves, and you guys did respond quite happily in your droves, but I didn't want to do this just on my own. I actually had to get a guest on, and he's never been on the channel before, and he is the latest full-time Football Manager content creator. Please welcome TomFM. Tom, how's it going, mate?
Hello, I'm doing very well, thank you. How are things with you?
Yeah, not too bad at all. So today we are rating some Wonder Kids. Now, what sort of things do you look for in a Wonder Kid?
I look for some really mental attributes that are just insanely high for their age in particular. So, you know, if some 20s on there for a 16-year-old, I'm all over it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, some of these guys do range in age, just because, you know, some Wonder Kids sort of get a little bit. They kind of mature and they're kind of the full sort of established player. But I thought I put the restriction as long as they're new gens. Let's just leave it there. So we are kicking things off first of all with my first submission from Discord, which is from Husky, which is UC, and I am going to absolutely butcher this name, so apologies in advance. We have UC Laura Kinnan is how I'm going to say that, and you spotted something interesting about this one right off the bat, didn't you, Tom?
Yeah, I think they've got a custom database, right? He's playing for FC Pittsburgh Penguins, which is an ice hockey team. So it must be a cool custom database, this.
Yeah, so what are your first thoughts on this guy? Obviously, central defender, currently 3.5 stars. He is 26 years of age, though, so probably a little bit more established, but there is quite a lot to like about this guy, I think.
Yeah, a lot to like about this guy. He's a real physical, dominating player. You can see he's 6'5". He's got a good bit of heft to him, plays with both feet, and has got some pretty decent pace, jumping, reach, strength, everything you sort of need in a centre-back who can bully the strikers.
Yeah, I quite like it as well. I mean, some of the traits he's got as well, plays no through balls, short, simple passes, kind of what you effectively want a centre-back to do in certain instances, isn't it? It's sort of nothing too flash, just kind of offload the ball and sort of shirk that responsibility of actually being a playmaker. But yeah, you touched on it. 6'5", he's an absolute beast with the 17 jumping reach as well. He's like a Jonathan Tah, who's absolutely massive, can jump up in the air, but just can't head the ball as well as I'd like. But yeah, I think, you know, looking like a nice little player coming out of Finland as well. You don't necessarily see loads of Finnish Wonder Kids, so I quite like him. What would you give this player out of 10?
Out of 10, well, I'm looking at like 10 heading and 12 marking. Some of the mentals aren't quite so good. I'm not quite sure what to expect going forward with other ones, so let's go down the middle. I'm going to say a 5 out of 10 on this one.
Yeah, that's kind of the area that I was looking for as well. Like, there is a lot to like about this guy, but if this guy was 16 with these attributes, you'd think fantastic, but the sheer fact that he is 26, despite being an established international, I'm going to go for a 6, only because he likes big games as well. Okay, so player number 2 is from Raimundo, who has submitted Lucio De Tora. Much easier for me to pronounce this one. He is currently on loan at Palermo. I'm not sure who his parent club is, but there is a lot to like about this guy, especially with the fact that he is only 17 years of age.
Yeah, I'm looking at this guy right now. I can see 15 finishing, 14 composure, a balance of 16 as well, decisions 13. Like, he is a really good out-and-out striker, I feel like. Someone who's going to be able to get in the ball in those tight situations in the area and be able to finish it with some cool, calm composure. Yeah,
I quite like the fact that there's an attribute that I kind of like a lot, that a lot of strikers and a lot of new gens actually in the game don't necessarily have, and that is the concentration. And the fact that he's already in double digits for that attribute at 17 is already pretty good. There's some of the stuff that I like as well. Capped at under 19 youth level by Italy, which is no mean feat. It's not like you're getting into a sort of lower tier national side. At 17 for the under 19s is pretty darn good. Yes, okay, he's not great in the air, but he is 5'9". He is going to be the sort of more agile striker that you're going to want to see in and around the box. And I mean, looking at his star rating in comparison, this squad does have Lautaro Martinez and Dusan Vlahovic and Benjamin Sesko. Now, I know you've got something to say about Benjamin Sesko, but but yeah, I mean, looking at how he's rated to get up against some of the other players in the squad, I think this guy is pretty darn good. Tom, what is your rating out of 10 for Lucio De Tora?
My rating is probably, I'm going to say an 8 out of 10. I think he's pretty solid, but I think the physicals could certainly be a lot better, so he's not quite the perfect Wonder Kid for me.
Yeah, I think he needs a couple more traits on him, and hoping that some of that physicality does develop. So I'm going to go for a 7 out of 10 for me. So Wonder Kid number 3 has been submitted by Rengar IRL, and he has Francisco Chichi. Now this is another sort of Wonder Kid coming out of Italy, Tom. What do you think of this young 16-year-old right off the bat?
I mean, for 16 years old, those mentals are off the chart. That's absolutely ridiculous. And for a playmaker, like, you can see all the highlighted attributes there, but, like, you know, 16 passing, 15 first touch, 14 technique. He is quality. That is absolutely amazing for a 16-year-old player. I'm blown away a little bit by this guy.
Yeah, unbelievable. Like, there's so much to like about him. As you said, the mentals at 16 are phenomenal, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, okay, for someone who is going to be a deep line playmaker, the flair of 4 is something that is not massively off-putting, because he's got the vision, he's got the teamwork, he's got the good passing, but I would like that a little bit higher. And already the physicals on this guy as a central midfielder are better than the striker that we've just seen. Yes, okay, he is 5'9", but he's good on both feet. He's going to work hard for the team. High determination. He's got a fairly determined personality as well, so you know he's going to achieve a good standard in this save. And he's got the trait that he is consistent as well, which is absolutely huge for me. I really, really like this submission. I really like this guy. I think he's going to have one hell of a career. So where are we rating this guy out of 10?
He's 16 years old. Obviously, the physicals aren't quite there, but he's 16. They'll get there, and eventually, I'm going to give it a 10. Perfect 10 for me.
Wow. Right, going in for a 10 already. That's impressive. As I said, for me, the only thing that's kind of putting me off is the flair on this guy. If that flair was 10, I know that's such a silly thing to say, but if the flair was 10, I would give this guy a 10, but I unfortunately can't, so I'm going to have to give him a 9.5. Yes, I'm putting in 0.5s in here, because there's just that one tiny little thing that's kind of putting me off with this guy. So we move on to the next player, and this has come from the mod on my channel. This is from Balin. This is from his Wrexham save. Now, this guy is 23 years of age. This is 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙕, and goalkeeper is an area that I always seem to struggle to replace in my teams. What do you reckon on this Scottish international?
I mean, wow. You look at this player, and I don't think you can really get much better. Like, that is just insane.
Yeah, like, there is... I don't see any weaknesses in this player, really. Like, maybe 14 reflexes, but that's still 14. Like, he is just... as the current ability says, he is world class, I think.
Yeah, I mean, looking at him, he's only got 4.5 stars of current ability, so I'd like to know he's got the 5-star current ability in this guy's team, because this guy is just insane. I don't think you can really say, like, he's got a weakness. He must be the best keeper in the world in this save file. So I gave the last guy a 10. This guy must be like an 11 off the charts then.
Yeah, there's so much for me to like here. Usually with these sort of new gen, regen players, you know, there's always something that kind of brings it down. And I'm looking at, you know, usually with goalkeepers, it's kind of something like communication or command of area. This guy's got all of that. His physicals are fantastic as well. Maybe could be slightly stronger, but he's already got good traits, especially that he uses long throw to start counter-attacks. I really like that in a goalkeeper. I've got to give this guy a 10 as well. Absolutely fantastic goalkeeper. So I had to slide this guy in. If you've been watching my Red Star save, this is Luka Akana. Now, Tom, a little bit of background from this guy. He came through another youth intake in Serbia, and I then purchased him right off the bat. I think I ended up paying like 800k compensation for Luka Akana. You can see on his career stats in the bottom right, he has departed to Manchester United. I did eventually sell him for near on £200 million. And then United, doing typical United things, didn't play him, and I've now actually been able to loan him back. So what do you think of my wonder kid, my boy, Luka Akana?
Well, I don't really understand why United haven't played him, because looking through all of that, I can't really see a weakness. Obviously, you'd want the finishing to be a little bit higher, but when you've got great dribbling and first touch and composure and decisions all around it, then that sort of makes up for it. Anticipation's really high too. Off the ball is amazing as well. I don't understand why United haven't played him, because I can't really see a weakness in there at all. Like, he looks so good.
Yeah, again, like I've tried really hard to develop this guy. Like as you can see in the bottom right, I had him for near on 7 years. So like a lot of the time and the effort that I've spent developing this guy, adding the traits, you know, runs with the ball through the center, rounds the goalkeeper because of his amazing physical abilities, beating the offside trap and all of that. He's good on both feet. He's 6'2". I'm obviously going to give this guy a 10. The only reason he's not played more for Serbia is because they only play with one up top, and it's Dusan Vlahovic still. But yeah, I have to give Luka Akana a 10. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I kind of regret giving that other striker a while ago like a 10 rating. Although at 16 years old, like looking at the age, it probably was a 10. But I feel like I'm giving everyone 10s here. So yeah, another 10 for me. Like, this guy's quality.
So now we move on to number 6, which has been submitted by Pim. Now, I find this guy unbelievable. One, for the fact that he's managed to get him playing in Scotland, but we have Jules Verne is how I'm going to say this guy's name. 21 years old, Belgian, been capped by the first team. He is in the year 2034 with this guy. There's so much to like about this guy. Again, we're seeing sort of elite striker comparisons between, like, you know, Luka Akana that I've just shown and this guy. I actually think this guy's more of a facilitator than a goal scorer. What do you think about that, Tom?
Yeah, I can see him being the target man on support or attack, you know, knocking the balls down with a 6'6" reach. But finishing is really high as well. I feel like if his composure was just a little bit higher, off ball a little bit higher, he'd be the main goal scorer. But I can see what you mean by him being more facilitating, particularly the physical domination that he's got, you know, strength and balance wise. But he still looked amazing. Like, where it matters, he is incredible. Yeah,
there's a few things I'd like to try and work on with this guy. Like, the fact that he's already got 18 passing makes him, as I said, a phenomenal sort of facilitator of attacks. Like, he's coming in as a 4.5 star deep line forward. I think that'd be good. Obviously, you mentioned the target forward as well at 6'6", 96 kilos. So he's a big guy. Yeah, as you mentioned, the composure is one that I would like to see a little bit higher. Maybe his off the ball as well. Probably add the player trait of plays with his back to goal. I think that would probably help him be a better facilitator. So obviously I'm not going to give this guy a 10. I'm obviously going to back my guy Luka Akana, but I'm going to give Jules Verne a 9 out of 10. I think he is still very, very good.
Yeah, I think I'll agree with you on the 9, actually. For a 10, the heading needs to be better at that sort of 6'6" reach, to be fair. And I think I'd like to see just a little bit better in some of the physicals as well. But, you know, a 9 is still a very good rating.
Yeah, if this guy was available to sign in my save, I definitely would still do it. So in number 7, we have Kabuto Wesley, who has submitted Sabas Castro. Now, this guy is, he said he's come through and he's a natural at a winger, but he is trying to retrain him as a DLP. What do you think of that sort of move, Tom?
Yeah, I can see why he's done it, because the crossing and dribbling is not particularly high, but his first touch, passing and technique are much more suited to it. You could even put him as a ball winner, to be fair, with tackling of 16, aggression of 14, to be fair, anticipation of 12, get that up. He's only 16 years old, so he's got a lot of time to develop, and of course technicals will develop, so I'm sure that crossing and dribbling will get up. But naturally, he does seem a bit more centre midfieldish to me, particularly with the teamwork, vision and work rate as well.
Yeah, I've just had a look, because the thing that was putting me off of this guy was his height, and it was in centimetres, and I'm silly and only know my own height in centimetres, so I've had to Google how tall this guy is, and he is 5'8", which kind of puts me off him a little bit. I just think he needs to be just that little bit taller. Obviously, he is 16, so he probably will grow another inch or so, maybe. So he's probably going to end up being 5'9", 5'10" at a push. Obviously, he is at Real Madrid, so he is going to get the sort of best facilities out there in the game that you can kind of get, you know, the state-of-the-art everything. And we've all seen in real life players who go to Madrid who just, you know, put on like 20 kilos of muscle as well. So this guy is going to develop. I think that the move to put in him as a DLP is probably the right move as well. Good on both feet, but yeah, it's just that height that's really putting me off. I don't really know why that is. Yeah, gets into opposition area as well. That's probably an interesting trait for a DLP to have. I mean, I know the Match Engine likes a midfield runner, but would you have that on your DLP?
No, I wouldn't probably. Unless I was going for quite an attacking formation, or maybe potentially training him as a centre mid on attack. But he's being trained in the CDM role, isn't he? By the look of things.
Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah.
So yeah, if it gets in opposition area playing as a CDM, you rotate off. To be fair, but maybe like even as a halfback could be quite good. I wouldn't mind seeing him being trained as that.
Yeah, very nice. So what's your rating out of 10 for Sabas Castro?
I will give him a 6.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm going to go 6.5 as well. There's so much I like about his mental, so I can't hammer in too much, but needs work. I'd like to see how he would develop in 5 or 6 years' time.
I agree.
Now we move on to Hermes10, who has submitted Lucas Jones from his Derby County save. Now, Derby County, a very popular save on FM22 this year, and he's being deployed as the all-important central midfield on attack. Tom, Lucas Jones, what do you think of this guy?
Yeah, I like the look of this guy, to be fair. He feels very specialist to me, looking at some of the really high attributes he's got in first touch, passing technique, for example, but things like tackling, free kicks, heading, really quite low down, to be fair. But where it matters, he is pretty solid. Although physicals overall could be a lot better, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously got 7 caps for the Welsh national team already at aged 18, so there is something about him, but I think compared to some of the other players that we have seen, he's not quite the finished product yet. I mean, he's on par with Hugo Felix, for instance, in the comparison on the right hand side, and Alex Collado, but is a little bit of a way behind Tyler Addons, so there is still definitely some work to do here. I mean, obviously as a CM on attack, the tackling isn't as important. Maybe I'd probably like to see a little bit better in terms of that dribbling, and that finishing needs to go up if he's going to be a CM on attack, because those late runs are what kills this match engine for sure. For me, I'm going to give this guy a 7, only because he is being trained as a CM on attack, and has a lot of good attributes for that. What's your verdict, Tom?
Yeah, my initial thought was 7.5, but I'll drop the 7 like you, just so we're on a level playing field.
So moving on, in the penultimate one, we have Callum, who has submitted Pablo Gutierrez. Now, I have to say, this guy is coming off of an Xbox, which you don't see many Xbox players, or I don't see as many Xbox players within the community. This guy is playing at Liverpool. He's an Argentine international. And initially, first and foremost, I have to say the entire layout of this is throwing me off, despite looking almost identical to the PC. What are your thoughts on Pablo Gutierrez, Tom?
Yeah, he looked outstanding, doesn't he? There's not really a weakness in his game, other than maybe leadership, but, I don't think that's necessarily a big notch on his name or anything like that. Defensively, he's big, he's pacey, he jumps well, he heads well, he passes well, he tackles well, he's got great anticipation. I mean, he's the perfect centre-back, I feel.
Yeah, I was going to say he's at Liverpool, and this is kind of a reincarnation of Virgil van Dijk for me.
Yeah.
Other than the leadership that you touched on, like everything else is there. This guy is going to be an elite tier centre-back. He's 6'2". Yeah, I just think this guy is absolutely phenomenal, and I'd be interested for you guys to let me know down in the comments what player development is actually like on Xbox, because I have no experience of it, so I would be very intrigued to see. But as a centre-back, this guy, perfect 10 for me.
Yeah, I've got to say, I agree with you. Perfect 10. I can't really fault this guy at all in the slightest. He just looks solid.
So the final player submitted by you guys via the Discord is from 5DN, and he has submitted Ismael Tager, is how I'm going to say this guy's name. I know I butcher players' names left, right and centre. He is playing for Red Star. Obviously, the Red Star theme is kind of a thing in my community, with everyone trying to basically win the Champions League before me. So Ismael is a Mexican international. He's playing for Red Star over in Serbia. He is phenomenal yet again.
Yeah, he's so good. I think for me, the physicals maybe just bring him back just a little bit, but you can't complain too much about them. But the dribbling, finishing, first touch, and passing and technique are just all through the roof, and that's absolutely fantastic. Composure is so high as well. The only maybe weakness in the mentals is maybe if you're comparing it to how good the other attributes are, concentration and decisions, but they're still pretty high at 11 and 13 for 19 years old, and they will get higher mentals the last things to develop in a player. But teamwork, vision, work rate maybe down a little bit as well. So yeah, he's definitely solid, but still got some areas to develop and grow.
Yeah, I think so as well. I mean, obviously he is 19 years of age, so he's not fully finished developing just yet. But again, he's 5'8" and doesn't necessarily have the pace to really be a threat. Like if this guy had 15, 16 pace acceleration and stuff like that, you add on a couple of traits of beating the offside trap, going around the goalkeeper, and then you've got a real threat on your hands. I also don't like the media handling style of volatile and confrontational, and you can already see in the top left that he is upset about something, which means this guy is going to be a little bit of a problem in the save going forward. There is a lot to like about this guy, but I'm going to give him an 8.5 because of that volatile and confrontational media handling style, which gives him a few interesting, shall we say, hidden personality traits.
Yes, I think that will sort of limit his development just a little bit, some of that. So yeah, I didn't spot that originally, so that's a good spot from you, and that's going to limit him a little bit as well. So I don't think I can give him a perfect 10, but I can probably give him a 9. Yeah,
I think that's a fair rating. So guys, that is the 10 Wonder Kids that you guys have submitted via my Discord channel. If you do want to do this sort of thing and you want to see this as again with someone else potentially, or again with Tom, please do let me know down in that comment section. And Tom, thank you very much for coming onto the channel. Where, if people haven't discovered you previously, where can people find you?
Well, thank you very much for having me on, and you can find me on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter at TomFM on all of them. So yeah, there you go.
Amazing stuff. And if you did like this video, we have another 10 Wonder Kids which is coming out on Tom's channel at the exact same time as this video, so please do head on over to Tom's channel and check out the other 10 Wonder Kids that we're going to be reviewing.